tonight they will be scanning from 6 to 7. Presentation starts at 7:15, and we get those prospects, those guests taken care of. If you're not in the city and you would like to send somebody, just make sure, guys, that they are already registered as a customer. If you're sending them, that helps, for us to use our time wisely, because it's just a matter of time. If they're buying, if you're sending them there and you know they're going to have a blood test, have them already purchase that blood test on your site, because if it's not purchased on your site, there's no guarantee that you're going to get credit for that, because it just slows down the process. Nobody else is going to sign them up. You can rest assured, but someone else might sell them a blood type test that they already have in their possession. So those are things that when you're sending people, especially for the BioScan, again, you should already have them already in the system as a customer, so that when they're ready, that order will definitely go to you. It'll go to you no matter what. But still, it makes the life of the people there working a lot easier. Blood tests, put them in the system, let them have a blood test in the system. All they have to do is pick it up. If that's not the case, they just might be able to buy one from a coach that's already there. Not being their customer, just buying a blood test. Okay, I said that a couple of times. I hope you understand it, because sometimes we don't get it. But if you have questions, just reach out via email and I will answer. And without further ado, I am going to get out of the way for our phenomenal speaker, someone that I pursued, guys, for over 10 years. That's right. You always think you have to get somebody's response immediately. Sometimes it takes a minute, but he was well worth it. And not only did he bless me, but he blessed our entire company, because he is a speaker all over the world, not the country, guys. I said the world. And he decides to train, to motivate us, to start our day off each and every Wednesday morning. And without further ado, are you out there, Coach Dan, Pastor Dan, Friend Dan, Son Dan? Where you at? You better be on here too this time. Okay, Dan. Where are you?
I'm right here. I am right here. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Guys, I really think he be playing with me every Wednesday morning. I
No,
think he
I
does
don't.
that on purpose.
I promise you I don't. I
Okay.
promise you I don't. I had the phone on mute. I hit the start button twice, and yet and still, you guys couldn't hear me, so I did it again. But nevertheless, I trust and pray that everyone is having an amazing, and it is so grateful that you have come into the huddle with Coach Dan this morning. As I was pondering what we would discuss for this morning, I looked at the dates and I realized that we're at the end of March of 2023. That means we're at the end of the first quarter of 2023, and we're getting ready to move the next quarter. And some of us have been doing this for a while. Some of you on the line have been doing this for approximately now 4 years. Some of you have been doing it for 3 years, 2 years, so forth and so on. You've been doing this. What is this? You've been working. You've been on the lines with us every single morning, Monday through Friday. You have been actively engaged. And so as you have been doing this, the question becomes, are you seeing the results that you desire to see? Question becomes, have you measured the growth? Do you see the growth that you desire to see? And so when we think about growth, we must understand that growth is a byproduct, here we go, of two C words that I'm going to give you today. The first C word, growth, is a byproduct of change. And the second C word is growth is a byproduct of consistency. And Now, this is an oxymoronic type of moment because in one sense, I say that we must be consistent. And to be consistent means we must continue to do what we are doing in order to get to where we are going. But then I also say change. And change means that you must adjust what you're doing in order to get to where you're going. And so, Coach, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to change or do you want us to be consistent? Well, it really just determines on where you are on the growth spectrum. Because depending on what you have been doing, here we go, if you have not grown to where you desire to be, then change is necessary. Because change becomes the conduit for growth. But if you are where you desire, if you are seeing growth and steady growth in what you're doing, then consistency is paramount. Because you have to do the right thing consistent enough, long enough, and somebody ought to be able to say this with me, in order for it to be enough. And so you got to be consistent. And you must be willing to change. And some things you are consistent in, and some things you must change in. But you have to determine your some things. You have to determine your some things. And so this morning, what I want you to do, there's a couple of things I want you to begin to examine. The first thing I want you to do as the first quarter has ended is, where are you as it pertains to reaching your goal? That's the first thing. I want you to really do a self-assessment to determine if you are where you desire to be, or if you are on track, I should say, to get to where you desire to be. I want you to examine that. I want you to really think about where you are, think about where you want to be, and then examine is what you're doing going to get you there. The second thing is examine the goal, and then examine your work, examine your activity. One of the things we just rolled out is we rolled out the big win run. And the big win run is just that. You got to run for the big win. And the big win is a total surprise that's going to be announced at our 420 conference. However, you got to run. You got to run. You got to register to run. The registration is free, but you got to register to run. Why are we helping? Why are we encouraging you to run? Why are we pushing you to run? Why is it that we just didn't leave March Madness alone and allowed us to continue to chug along the way we're chugging along? Because when we look and evaluate where the teams are, when we look and evaluate the amount of money that you're making, when we look and evaluate those that are ranking and who's ranking and all of those things, guess what we find? We find that better is possible. We find that there are some that are doing good. We find that there are some that is okay. We find that some is moving the needle just a little bit here and there. But we understand that better is possible. And because better is, and whenever better is possible, guess what, you guys? If better is possible, then good is not enough. So what I'm saying to you, everyone, is if you do your evaluation, or what have you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to see, is what you're doing okay? Is what you're doing good? Or is what you're doing, could it be better? And if you get to the point where the answer, yes, it could be better, then okay and good is not enough. And we have to evaluate what is necessary for us to continue to do and what is necessary for us to change in order for us to get better. So let me give you some examples. For example, if you see that you're able to get customers and you're banging customers out or whatever the case is, but you're not ranking up, but you're getting a bunch of customers. Well, number one, let me encourage you, continue to get a bunch of customers, because even in the big win run, here's what's going to happen. If you continue to get a bunch of customers and accumulate points in a big win run, you still have a chance to win. But you also notice and take note that there is some adjustments that can be made, or there's some growth in the area of business builders. So what I want you to do then is I want you to continue to do what you're doing in accumulating customers, but now I want you to develop a strategy for building business builders, for recruitment. And the strategy I want you to develop is not coming up with anything new, but I want you to go back to what you've been trained to do and develop a strategy to do it. Are you understanding? Send the videos and follow the system. I was talking to Miss Phyllis on yesterday, and let me see, I got about 4 minutes. I was talking to Miss Phyllis on yesterday, and we were having this conversation, and she was saying how and we were just talking about the presentation and different things of that nature. And she was saying to me, she said, Dan, the reality is by the time someone gets to the presentation that I'm recruiting, they're already familiar with the company, because I've already sent them the videos. I've already had them do a third-party call. So she just walks through the system that she has for recruiting. She says, so by the time they get to the presentation, they're not a cold lead, they're a warm lead, and they're ready to go. They're just ready to be closed. And that's because she follows the process. And I told her a story about how important following the process is. And I gave an example of my relationship with Errol. I've been knowing Errol. I met Errol from Wakana. I met Errol through Wakana approximately 3.5 years ago. And he and I have done a considerable amount of business outside of Wakana. He's done a nice amount of work for me outside of Wakana. And so the wife and I are opening up, my wife is opening up a medical spa and health center. And during this process, I said, I'm going to connect you with someone that's going to facilitate the branding for you. When they sit down, I showed up at the clinic. They're about 30 minutes in the meeting. When I walk in, they're both laughing and giggling and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey, what's going on here? No, I'm just joking. It's not, I don't have a jealous bone in my body. But at any rate, I walk in, and here's what happened. They're laughing and they're socializing. And in my mind, they should be handling business. I'm like, what are y'all wasting time for? Come to find out that we have known Errol's parents, or Errol's father, Errol Sr., for over 12, 13 years. We've been to his home on multiple occasions. We support his business and all of that. And here it is. They figured that out in the first 30 minutes. After all of the business transactions and things of that nature that Errol and I had, I never knew it. I never knew that was his father. So what's my point as it pertains to you guys? One of the things about relationship selling is really developing a relationship that goes beyond the sale. And so when you develop the relationship first, it ultimately puts you in a position later to get the sale. Well, now in this case, Errol was doing business. I was doing business. I was the one paying Errol. I wasn't selling him anything. So the only thing I cared about is I cared about him as a person. We would have little small conversations. But when we got together, I was looking at the clock, and it was all about getting the business done. And here it is, someone who I am intimately acquainted with through his parents or his father. I missed it. Now, in this case, it wasn't a big deal because, again, I am the one that's paying the money. However, what if I was the one looking to sell him something? I would have missed a big old piece of the pie that could have made the sale a lot easier if I took some time to develop a relationship with him. Yeah, Because once people are comfortable with you, once you're able to find common denominators, the reality of the situation is it will cause you to be able to gain or accomplish something that you may not would have been able to accomplish had the relationship not been established. I'll give you another example. My daughter has me watching this crazy Netflix series. She said, Dad, during what I call dumb time is when I don't feel like doing anything else and it's late at night and I can't sleep and I didn't take my gummy and I just watch TV. That's my dumb time. So she said, during your dumb time, that when you feel like turning your brain off and you don't want to do that, no, you can't sleep, I want you to watch this series. And so while I was watching this series, there was a young lady that needed to get some public records. In order to get the public records of an individual, she had to show relationship with the individual whose records she's getting, or she had to show an ID or something like that. So in the process, she couldn't show the ID, and so she's trying to get these public records, but she could not show an ID. She saw a cup of coffee of a university on the desk of the person she was talking to. When she saw that cup of coffee, here's what happened. She began to talk about the university. The lady said, oh, my son, I'm an alumni and I'm trying to get my son in. He's trying to go, but we're having some struggles. So she begins to say, well, I am an alumni and I just so happen to have a relationship with such and such and such and such and such and such, and I'll be able to get your son in. I just need you to write down his information and blah, blah, blah. So in that process, originally the lady was telling her, no, you couldn't get the public records because you don't have the proper ID. But in the process of her understanding and identifying a relationship that had common ground, the lady compromised her no, converted it to a yes, not because that's what she was supposed to do or needed to do. She did it based on relationship. I need you guys to understand that as you continue to build and as you continue to run, it's essential that you properly position yourself in many instances with relationship. Last piece that I'm going to share with you. Now, here's the deal. Everybody, some people, and what closes people, what challenges people, what causes people to motivate them to buy is different. And that's what the purpose of the relationship is. Last Phyllis story, and I'm done because it's past. I'm 3 minutes past time. Phyllis and I was talking, and we was talking about the dynamics of the presentation. And she began to say, I'm a bottom line person. I need you to tell me what it is, tell me how it is, tell me how I'm gonna get paid from it. And I need you to paint a picture pretty much and allow me to see myself in that. And that's all I need, and I'm ready to go. But we understand that everyone learns differently. You have to develop the relationship to see what's going to make a person motivated to buy. Phyllis gets turned off if you spend too much time talking about the fluff and not get to the meat of the bone. You will lose Phyllis in that situation. And so again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not done. I'm just going to stop. And if we look at what our takeaways from, I need you to evaluate what do you need to continue to do, what do you need to change in order to grow to the level you desire to be. I need you to also remember that in social selling and MLM, it's relationship selling. And as you develop the relationships with people, then though it will help people grow to a certain level of trust to try your product and even try your business. I want you to have a supernaturally wonderful, wonderful day. My apologies for going over by 5 whole minutes. Well, I'm going to say I went over 3 minutes because I didn't get started to 8:03. But at any rate, however way you look at it, thank you so much for your time. And until next time, as always, prosper.
Awesome songs. We're going to take this up even more on Friday. We're going to continue this line of work because I truly, truly, truly believe it's all about relationship. That's why you need to spend that time with the people you bring in the business. You got to know who you're working with. I thank you, Coach Dan. I loved that conversation yesterday. We went all over the place, but it is about our business all the time. You can always bring it back to relationship. So go out and have a phenomenal kind of day. It's Wednesday. Get those people down there to the dispensary to be scanned so that they can have a better quality of life. Go out and push. Bye now.